Hello again, everybody. This is a time to chill, and I am Antonette Crosby. I am sitting here with the rapper MC Rare.
Yo, yo, yo.
Okay, and we're gonna get into some topics. He's gonna tell us a little bit about himself, and let's get into it. So, MC Rare, how long you been MCing?
I've been rapping for, I'd say probably 15 years, but only seriously the last 3 years.
Okay, so you say you've been doing the 15 for fun, but so why in the last 3 years has it become serious for you?
For instance, growing up, when I started doing it, it was just really a hobby. It was something that I kind of discovered by accident. But throughout the time of me, growing up and hanging out with people, I did it a lot at different places, like maybe a house party.
Okay.
Or maybe some concert where a DJ was. He was like, "Oh, I'll give you a 10-minute spot." All of a sudden, when I started doing it, I started to notice that there were actually people who were not necessarily famous, but they were just making music for a living. I mean, that's what they did for a living. They did shows all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
They sold merchandise. They sold records online or whatever the case may be, physical copies. And I just started to notice that it didn't necessarily equate to being on MTV to being a successful artist. So it suddenly became more possible to pursue it seriously.
Okay, so I get a little personal. I don't try to be offensive. White boy rapper. How does that go over when you're doing venues? Do you feel accepted? How do you feel when you're coming? Because nowadays it's predominantly black.
Mm-hmm.
You got your Eminem is older. He's not really doing much, but you got your what's the skinny guy name? I like him.
Logic?
No, not Logic. The skinny one who was dissing Eminem. Oh, my daughter's gonna be so mad that I don't.
MGK.
MGK, I like MGK.
Okay.
So you really don't have a lot of. I would say Caucasian, but we keep it funky on the show. You don't really have
say white
a lot of
white
white boy rappers.
White boy
so, right. So Rare, when you go somewhere and you're in a predominantly black atmosphere.
Sure.
I'm sure you've been doing this for a long time, so you feel comfortable. But do you ever feel uncomfortable, or they don't take you seriously because you're white?
Oh gosh, yeah, dude. I just did a show last Wednesday at the Robina Courtyard, and I gotta tell you, that show was really tough to do because that was not my crowd at all.
Okay, tell me.
Just the crowd there was kind of more of a turn up trap music crowd.
Right.
A lot of people, younger kids anyway, might hear my music and say, "Oh, you sound like that old stuff, man. That's that old 90s rap."
Okay.
Okay. So that right there is when I'm going on, before me, the people before me are "I'm turning up, I'm doing 100,000." They're jumping up and down, and everybody's moshing. And then it's my turn to go, and I'm trying to do this kind of old school golden era lyrical 90s hip hop style, and everybody's just
right, because you're conscious then. You're a conscious rapper.
Yep.
All right, so
So
wow. So you're a conscious rapper in the turn up era.
Right.
I asked you before, old school, your genre of rap, who influenced you were who?
Okay, so just off the top, KRS-One, Gangstar, DJ Premier, Guru, Mobb Deep, Scarface, all these kind of old school rappers. Like I said before, Exhibit, Tupac, Biggie, Eminem obviously is a big influence.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of the more grittier, I would say hardcore rappers, like MOP or something like that, are people that I was more drawn to. Obviously, I like Jay-Z too,
Okay, and you say the younger crowd now. How old are you?
Me, I'm 37.
Okay, you're 37. Okay, so the younger crowd is more turn up. And
Sure.
your music is more of a conscious music. You want to bring some thought to the people that you're trying to reach. You want to have them to think.
Sure.
And nowadays, we don't want that.
Right.
We just want to turn up, get lit, get
Yep.
high, and get all the girls.
Sure.
Why does that not change your lyrical content to either fit in or maybe to make more money or be more successful? Why don't you change?
Right. Well, I feel like one thing that the responsibility of the artist is to create the whatever trend is happening. That is because somebody took the risk to do it a certain way that wasn't being done, and now you see other people that are trying to kind of jump on that and create that and recreate that. You know, a lot of people might say that a lot of rappers today are kind of doing their best Lil Wayne impression.
Okay.
That maybe that kind of like they piggyback that style a little bit. And the duty of the artist is to create it, not to follow it. So I kind of, that's kind of part of my brand is when I say when you get that hardcore against the grain hip hop, it's rare. And that's why, because I'm going to always go against the grain. I'm going to talk about things that people don't want to talk about. I'm going to talk about African Americans being targeted by police. I'm going to talk about children being bullied at school because they identify differently as far as their gender is concerned. I'm going to talk about kids who are considered to be less dead because they are runaways or homeless teens. So them being murdered by, say, serial killers or other people, their cases are not put on priority as per se. You know, you find somebody like some middle class white woman who is killed by her ex-cop husband, that garners all kinds of media attention. But then you get a girl who's kidnapped, 7 years old, little black girl. She's kidnapped and she gets away from her attackers and finds the phone and is able to call police and have her attackers captured, and she's watching herself on the news by 8 o'clock about how she got, and that's not really garnering any national attention. So those are the kind of topics that I'm always going to do. So that's kind of part of my whole style, is just to kind of go against the flow.
So you don't really agree with the system. That's what I'm hearing. You're kind of fed up with the system. The system
I would say that the prison system, the prison for profit private prison system, is a total joke. This so-called judicial system, and yes, I do believe that African Americans are targeted unfairly by the police. I do not believe in police or prison. So yes.
Okay. All right. So where'd you grow up? Did you grow up predominantly in around white people? Black people? Was it a mix? Because you had to have had some experience, sort of experience for you to come to this knowledge right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I grew up a little bit in Texas, and I'm going to tell you that in the neighborhood I grew up in, there was one black guy.
Okay.
And he was the only black guy in our neighborhood, and he fixed everybody's cars. Everybody went to him to fix their car.
Okay.
I remember that guy, and then we moved here to Wisconsin, and I grew up on the south side of Madison, Baird and Fisher, Penn Park.
All right.
You know what it is. I was there when there was still Burr Oaks Bowling Alley in that piece. And so that's where I'm from. And I went to Cherokee Heights Middle School, so that was predominantly black. I was a white kid in a predominantly black school.
All right.
And in a predominantly black neighborhood. So, yeah, I mean, I grew up around black folks quite a bit. So, yeah, I would say, yeah.
Okay. So, got a black girlfriend? Like black girls?
I mean, I like black girls, sure, yeah. I used to exclusively date black girls, actually.
Oh, you used to exclusively?
Yeah,
Oh,
but I don't
okay.
have a girlfriend right now.
Oh, you?
Yeah.
So we're single. We rap. Any kids?
No kids.
Oh, no kids? Okay, no kids. We rap. We live
Right.
in Madison.
Full-time employee at a successful company.
We work. Okay, ladies, we have a working man here, a working artist man here who likes the dark chocolate.
That's right.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about your consciousness. We talked earlier, and you were talking about you want to be a voice for the people that don't have a voice.
Sure.
Do you think in this era of the time that we live in that you would be able to change? Would you want to change? Would you ever change? Like it seems like to me that, how could I put this? The beat now
Okay.
is different from the old school rap beat.
Sure.
Right? So what direction do you take? Does it matter? Or because you know the old conscious beat, the KRS-One beat, you live in that. That never dies in you if you come from that era. And now it's the it's everything is that. Don't ask me what it is. It's the hi-hat or whatever.
Yeah, the 808 or whatever.
The 808.
Yeah.
That's all I hear.
Yep.
So do you have that? Do you use that in your music?
I would definitely say that I do have a couple tracks like on my SoundCloud, Rare, aka Rare MC.
Tell us, where can we get it? Where can we get it?
You can catch me, Rare, aka Rare MC, on SoundCloud, johndenver4.bandcamp.com. You can actually buy my music there for as low as 50 cents.
50 cents?
At Rare MC on Instagram, you can follow me there.
Facebook?
Facebook, George Balwell at Facebook.
Oh, George.
So yeah, lots of different names. I gotta streamline my whole image thing going on.
Okay.
There, but
so it's in the works.
Yeah.
It's in the works. Okay.
But I would say that I definitely have songs where I use what are known as trap instrumentals, and kind of form my flow or my flow and my song kind of structure into like a trap song, but in a conscious sense. For instance, I have a song that's like that, where it's a song about somebody who contemplated committing suicide.
Okay.
And they came to the conclusion that in fact, if they did that it would not stop their pain except only pass it on to other people.
Okay.
And that's kind of the name of the song. It's called After All, and it's to a trap instrumental, and it's kind of in that flow, like the so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any shows in Madison coming up?
Shows in Madison coming up September 24th at the Wisco. Novelist will be here in Madison, and I'll be opening up for him at the Wisco. So, yep, Willie Street Pub.
Okay, Willie Street Pub. I wanted to ask you a few more questions about the politics.
Okay.
Do you have any songs, any political songs?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of my songs are political.
Okay, because you don't like the system. You don't like how it's. Tell me what you said before. I like what you said when we were talking about the system.
Oh yes,
remember?
the system isn't broken. It was built that way.
It was built this way.
Yeah, yep. So yeah, I mean, it's set up for you to really fail. I mean, this whole idea of trickle down economics. Reagan put the rich in this position to where they don't pay these taxes, so now the wealth trickles down to you, and eventually you will become rich if you work hard enough, and the rich will just funnel all this money down to you, which of course did not happen. We had a large housing crash shortly after that. So I mean, I would definitely say that the system is made for people who have money, and I mean, I'm not talking about like somebody like Jay-Z. If you think Jay-Z is rich, I mean, he's not rich, okay? There's people that have billions of hundreds of billions of dollars. I mean, in reality, like every company on the planet is owned by like 3 companies.
Okay, all right.
You know
I'm starting to understand that.
So it's like, I mean, you see more and more that, somebody like Donald Trump is there, and the reason he is the president is because they said to him, are you going to do what we want you to do? And he said, I'm on board.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's going to be all these opportunities for you to make all kinds of money, kickbacks and like investments, and we're going to tell you to put your stock here, and we're going to let you know right when to sell, you know what I mean? So that the stock is going up, we're going to let you know right away. You're going to make all this money. Just make sure you don't put the law of these restrictions on our environmental dump waste or whatever the case may be.
Yes.
So
I take it you didn't vote.
well, I don't vote. You're right, and that's because your votes don't count because of the electoral college. So
Okay.
you know,
My man, conscious and politically correct, right?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely, yep.
Did I ask you before you had no kids?
No kids, no,
No kids.
Nope.
Ever want kids?
Fight the system. I mean, I would say no. I would say that my view on that is that there are children that are already alive, who could probably use a home more so than one that I could create. You know,
Aw.
so if I was able to adopt kids, I would. I mean, I've thought about fostering children. I was a foster child, so I mean that's definitely something that is near to me that I would try to do is to help the kids that already exist, that are already alive, who don't have a home, to maybe be able to have a home.
Okay, foster kid. How was that? How was that coming up? Did you have
I mean, I would say
Positive
I got lucky, you know.
Okay.
I would say I was very lucky. I did not go to a foster home in which I was abused, which is, kind of ironic considering my home life. That's like a different story. But I was lucky in the sense that when I went to a foster home, I was able to go with my brother, and they kept us together.
Oh.
So that was something that really made it so that I was able to cope with
Okay.
that huge change. And I know a lot of kids don't get that opportunity. A lot of these kids in the group homes or foster homes, they might get split up from their siblings.
Yeah.
And that's some of the hardest, experiences of that whole process. So.
Yeah. So that was good. You skated past any wrongdoings in the
Yeah.
foster system.
Definitely.
Voice for the transgender.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I mean, I wouldn't say that I've done any direct political action for transgender folks, but I definitely support the struggle. I feel that people should be able to live as who they are without being discriminated against, without being attacked or even killed. And yeah, definitely want to make that known that I'm down with the struggle for all LGBT folks, and black folks, any minorities or any kind of disenfranchised group of people that have been marginalized by society in any way. I stand for you. So.
Oh, you stand for the people.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I noticed? I did an interview with another artist, and he said the same thing. Like his music stood for the people who didn't have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm noticing nowadays that the one who stands for the people really stand alone.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It seems like you stand alone.
Absolutely.
And it seems like if you're standing for common sense would have you think if you're standing for the people will stand with you.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't seem. It's not.
Well,
happening.
I mean, in the immediate sense, I would have to say that's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that you're right. In the immediate sense, you stand alone, and that you are going to be the one who is going to have to be the one to sacrifice first. Talib Kweli, we were talking about that before. He said, what was it? Who's my favorite rapper? And while Talib Kweli is definitely a big influence on me, I wouldn't say he's my favorite rapper, but he is definitely one of the most important rappers, and that is because he is constantly on Twitter, online, in person, in real life, at his shows, in the grocery store, constantly calling out racism, calling out hatred against LGBT communities and minority communities, and he is really somebody who is willing to risk his position in society to see a change, make it happen. And that's really the difference between somebody like, say like Bette Midler, who might get on Twitter and be like, Trump's a real idiot. And it's like, okay, yeah, he's a real idiot, but what are you doing to make a difference? And so Talib Kweli is somebody who is really crucial, and somebody who is really an inspiration, and who stands out as somebody who really stands up for those kind of folks. And I would just, hope that in some kind of way I could follow that example.
Okay, I love it. What do you see yourself in the next 2 to 3 years?
Next 2 to 3 years, I hope to be doing 2 to 3 shows, a month maybe, and selling merchandise, shirts, CDs, stickers, buttons, all kinds of stuff, and doing enough shows to keep this music stuff going. Obviously, more music in the works coming. Within the next 2 years, I hope to release a full-length album.
Okay.
That's professionally mastered and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's good. Any artist that you work with that you really that has inspired you, or any artist that you would like to work with that inspires you?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of great local artists already in the city here.
Okay, give me one off the top of your head. One local artist that I wouldn't say admire, but you enjoy waiting for music to come out or listening to them.
Okay, so somebody, a local artist, one that comes to mind would be Rob D's.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of him, but
no, the rap. I'm gonna tell you, I love the rap, but I don't like going to the concerts because the music is too loud. I can't. Everybody's screaming.
Sure.
They're not really performing it the way that I like to hear it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And like the turn up, and I don't know if it's just me, but the turn up is real. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I get through the music and the jumping and the beating and 3-4 drinks, I'm sleepy.
I get that,
So,
for sure. I definitely get that.
I like going and seeing them, but I'd rather listen to their music, on Spotify or whatever, because it's just the damn
Right.
noise,
I mean, Rob D's is definitely chill. That's what I realized at that show at the Rubinia Courtyard, is that my music is not high energy.
Okay.
It is laid back music.
Okay.
It's hard for what my level is, but as far as like high energy music, like when you turn it on, you're not gonna be like
Crump.
it's gonna be, you're gonna
What
be
age
more like,
range? What age range would you think you would reach first?
I mean, yeah, my core audience is probably somewhere like 28 to like 52 or something like that. You know what I mean? It definitely is an older crowd, or more just like a niche crowd, because there are younger people who still love that kind of stuff, and they love it. There's kids at my work who are much younger than me, and I'm trying to tell them about this turn up new music, and they're like, I don't listen to that.
Okay.
I listen to old stuff, dog. So.
All right, cursing, profanity. You use a lot of it.
I would say that I am somebody who does use a lot of it. I don't really care about being respectable when it comes to rap music, or the music that I make. I use it as a free expression. So, I mean, there's a song I made called Throwing Stones, where I diss the rapper Diabolic. I mean, it's over just something that happened on Twitter, and I mean, I made a whole song about it. I spent weeks cultivating and rehearsing and practicing the song, and spent the money to get it professionally recorded and mastered. And I wanted to make sure that it was of the highest quality because, Diabolic, you know what I mean? So.
Okay. We're positive on this show, okay?
Right.
But F Diabolic. You just don't like this guy.
Yeah.
Is this like a rap beef battle thing, or what?
He is somebody who was purporting to be an apologist for white supremacist views. Alex Jones is a shock jock radio host who is a white supremacist, a white nationalist, and Diabolic was on Twitter arguing with Talib Kweli, and they were both arguing about how Alex Jones is a white supremacist, white nationalist, and that if in fact Diabolic agrees with him, then he agrees with white nationalists and white supremacists, and he himself is a white nationalist and white supremacist, and I would have to agree with that. And I went on to go on and tell him so myself, and he kind of got to calling me all kind of names and being disrespectful and making it personal, when in fact I was just trying to keep it in the discussion and trying to relay the facts, not really about his personal well-being or whatever, the facts of what we were talking about. Okay. But he wanted to take it to another level, so I did too.
All right.
And So yeah, profanity definitely. If it's necessary, if it's needed, it will be in there. Yes.
Okay, all right. One more question. Do you smoke weed?
Yeah, heavily smoking.
How long you been smoking?
I've been smoking since I was probably about 8 or 9 years
Oh
old.
wow. Okay. And I asked because a lot of rappers smoke.
Sure.
So when you I used to smoke too. We talked about it. I just recently stopped.
Uh-huh.
I thought that smoking marijuana for me kind of dumbed my senses down. Probably
Okay.
because I'm already very energetic.
Sure.
Okay, I wake up talking. Okay,
Okay.
I go to sleep talking.
Right,
Okay, I'm my musket always going.
Okay.
So kind of the weed kind of brings me down,
Sure.
and I feel like sometimes it takes my motivation.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't feel? Do you feel like that sometimes?
Well,
or?
I mean, I would say that just like anybody else, I'm not somebody who's perfect at all. I have my own anxieties and my own mental health issues. I struggle with mental health and depression. And
Okay, depression. So weed helps you.
I mean, I would say that it helps me, but it doesn't. It does take away my motivation a lot of the time. It
Okay.
does. It does rob me of my ambition, as they say. I would have to agree with that. I would have to say that there are people who do it and they find the motivation within themselves to just kind of go ahead and make themselves do it. They're self-motivated people. But I'm not one of those people. I would have to say that I definitely do self-medicate as far as weed is concerned. But when it comes to music, it definitely is something that where motivation is really not an issue at all. Like, in fact, weed helps me to open up my creative pathways and gives me the ability to really search deep to find, what I need to create the music that I want to make.
Okay, so weed helps you as far as you're being a better artist. When you're in there, you're in a zone and you're kind of free. Your mind is free.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it curbs my inhibition. I mean, even on a daily basis, whether I might be, not even just making music, it does help me to relieve those anxieties.
Okay, so you are pro making weed legal.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I think that the only reason that it's not legal is because it is hard for the government to profit from it. And that's why it's not legal.
You know what I think, and not to cut you off, but you know what
Oh,
I
yeah.
think? I think that it was legal because, they legalized it for their own, they made it illegal for their own reason.
Mhm.
But land was the big thing now.
Right.
And now that the land was the goal, but now that the land is all sold up and, everyone's got their stake on it, now they need a new cash cow.
Sure.
So now it's like, okay, now y'all can get high now because now we need a new cash cow.
Yep.
Right?
No, yeah.
I thought that. And I had a discussion and someone argued me down, but I'm just like, well, if it's once bad, then it should always stay bad.
Well, see, and that's the thing too, is that weed is easy to grow. You could take some weed seeds and throw it out your door, and that weed will just grow up. It's a weed.
I have.
You know what I mean? And so that's why it's really something that they've been trying to keep illegal, because anybody could just start growing it and start making this profit. I mean, just profit upon profit from it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why tobacco is such a heavily protected and guarded industry, because it's really hard to grow tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just throw some tobacco seeds out there and grow tobacco. It needs to be the right climate. It needs to be cultivated. It needs to be grown correctly to make sure. And that's why tobacco is really, they love it, because they can regulate it, they can tax it, they can stamp it, they can profit from it. And not everybody can just grow tobacco.
Oh,
And
yeah.
see, that's why they want it, because that's why they want it to remain illegal, because they want to make sure that they can regulate it first and make sure that they can profit from it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely. So you will be one of the ones on power to the people side
Oh,
when
yeah,
the revolution comes.
No, yeah, dude. Fred Hampton is definitely one of my heroes, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, all right. Anything else you'd like to tell us about yourself? Or, before we end this, what would be a message that you would have for the younger generation as far as their consciousness on the system?
Okay. So one thing I would have to say is that the whole positive vibes only movement I would say that in fact that movement is kind of harmful. And this is the reason why, because the children, the youth of our time now are the ones who are going to make the decision and make the change in the future. So we need to make sure that we are looking at these issues and discussing these issues and not letting people back us down and tone police us and tell us that we shouldn't really bring down their vibe by talking about how, people in the Marcy projects really need to not have their assistance cut off, or these immigrants that are being deported and put in these cages and children being separated from families. That's really bringing me down, so don't talk about that. It's like, no, we need to organize and we need to make sure that we are talking about this and agitating and causing that friction. And another thing too is that to the people who are in power now, I want to say to you that it is not your job to understand the youth, and it is only our job to try and represent them.
Okay. So, but you say they shouldn't understand the youth.
Well, I mean, if you can understand the youth, which I doubt you can, then go for it. But I would say that this fight to try to understand them is really unnecessary. Your need to understand them is not necessary at all. Like David Bowie said, it's like, these kids are immune to your consultation. Okay? You don't need to understand them. You need to represent them.
But how they gonna represent them if they don't understand them? See, now that's where, I'm a big communication fiend. My thing is, in order, like when you're having a conversation, you have to communicate to understand. You have to comprehend what I'm saying, okay?
Right.
So if I don't understand you, then how am I going to represent you? If I can't listen to reply. So that's what it seems like they do. They just listen to the little, and then they reply and give their own view on it.
Right.
So I have to listen to you to understand, so that we can make a change.
Right.
You
and
feel
I agree
me?
with that, but we are probably not going to be the ones to make it.
Well,
They are
who
gonna
is
be
if
the
it's not
ones,
us? Okay.
It is up to us to empathize with them and to say, okay, well, you're out here, you're saying you popping Xannies and stuff. That ain't so cool, man. You talking about how you doing drugs and stuff. Well, some of these kids are doing that because they saw their friends murdered in front of their faces. And I mean, it really messed them up.
Right, but they need to understand that though. Like,
For sure.
So my thing is, when you say that, I'll go around and say, okay, I think that they should understand. And the way that they should get an understanding is to get around them. Like, some of these politicians, they need to be at these places.
Well, yeah. I mean,
where
exactly.
these young people are going. They need to be sitting down, listening, and asking them questions, the hard questions, like,
Absolutely.
how many murders have you seen?
Absolutely.
Because I've seen some coming up, and it's some things that I was sheltered from that I'm like, at my age, I'm like, damn, that actually didn't happen?
Right.
Or is happening?
No,
How
I
is
get it.
that still happening?
Sure.
So to bridge the gap, we have to sit down and break bread with one another.
And I understand that, and I totally agree with that.
Okay.
And I totally do agree with that.
But you don't believe that's ever going to happen.
But my point is, well, I mean, I believe that it might happen, but what I'm saying is that the society that we live in now, these people believe that children should just respect adults and that they don't have a voice, and that their power is not anywhere in the real arena of political change or political action or any of that kind of stuff. And I'm here to tell you that that is wrong. And that is what they do. They convince you that that you don't have any power, and that is where their power comes from. And that's what they do to the kids. They say, well, we don't understand them. They make all this music, this turn-up music. They're sipping the lean. They're talking about crimes. They want to commit crime. They're making all this crime music, glorifying violence. And it's like, glorifying and reminiscing are two different things.
Got it.
Processing and glorifying are two different things. Now, that's what I mean by your effort to understand them is irrelevant. What you need to do is you need to go and be around them.
Yeah.
And be in their environment that they live in and try to empathize with them and see it from their point of view and talk to them and listen to them.
Right.
Because they are the ones that hold the secrets.
Right. Well, actually, they holding all the damn secrets. We just finding out on our own.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is Antonette Crosby with.
Rare MC.
Tell us where we can see you. Tell us where we can find
Rare,
you.
aka Rare MC on SoundCloud, at Rare MC, Instagram, George Baldwell, Facebook, JohnDenver4.bandcamp.com. Holler at me.
All right. Well, this is Antonette A Time to Chill. And I just want to tell each and every one of you, I love you. And I hope that you got some good information today. We like to give you an opportunity to come on and express yourself. Tell us what you're doing. Give some of your failures so that someone else can have a success. Sit around some older people so that you can get some knowledge, because you don't know everything and you can always learn something new every day. This is A Time to Chill with Antonette Crosby. Thank you so much, and I'll see y'all later.